reactions are still trailing President Bola Tinubu's nomination of former Chief of Defence Staff, retired General Christopher Musa, as Nigeria's new Minister of Defence. The nomination was disclosed in a letter by President Tinubu to Senate President Godswill Akpabio, confirming the former Chief of Defence Staff as successor to Muhammad Badaru, who resigned this past Monday. General Musa had served as Chief of Defence Staff from 2023 until October 2025. Former Air Force spokesman, Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, joins us now to discuss his nomination and how General Musa's new job may impact the fight against terrorism and banditry. He will also set an agenda for the ministerial nominees. Good to have you with us on Newsday. All right, former Air Force spokesman, Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, it's good to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers.
Very good.
Afternoon, rather.
Good afternoon. So what will change? Is retired General Musa the right candidate for Minister of Defence, you think?
Thank you very much. For a country that is bedeviled by security problems, for a government that inherited heightened security challenges from the last government of later President Muhammadu Buhari, the expectations in May 2019 that he came in, 2023, was that there are certain portfolios, especially related to security, that should go to people that have the pedigree, that have the experience, that have the past knowledge in such matters. Unfortunately, that is the expectation for some of us that watch the security terrain and the defense and the security architecture as a whole. Unfortunately, in the wisdom of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he didn't see it that way. And he ended up, appointing two persons who do not have any experience or any background in security. Well, that was a great disappointment to some of us, but they said it is never late to change. Again, now we have to congratulate the president, probably because of some issues he had seen or from some pressures, to have realized that if there is anybody that has a chance, I'm picking my words very carefully now, that has a chance of handling the defense portfolio, it should be somebody with a military background. And when I say with a military background, with due respect, with my 29 years in service, I do not mean just any person with a military background. Even within the military officers, you really have to look for a quality person and brought in. So that is why we are happy. When you look at the, trajectory of the career of General Musa, who is soon to be confirmed as Minister of Defense, you cannot say he does not have the pedigree or the experience. So definitely he is one of such officers that has the chance of, bringing this insurgency or others, security problems, at least to a minimal, at least improving to what is on the ground. Now, but that is only one part. So definitely changing the erstwhile minister with this person who knows about security is a good thing, even though it came late, but it is never late, we are still going. But for this to happen, for Musa, despite all his credentials, to actually succeed, one aspect has been solved. That is the personality aspect, the individual. But there is also the institutional aspect. In Nigeria, and here I must say frankly, because of our military regime background, there is a very skewed way through which the Ministry of Defense itself and the Minister of Defense office has been exercised in Nigeria, which is contrary to what you see in any country that is facing security. What do I mean? During the military regime, because the military head of state emerged from a military coup, over the years, you can go back to since maybe Shagari's administration, the president, when he comes, he, especially the military head of states, they formulated this formula whereby you appoint somebody as Minister of Defense, or you appoint an officer as CDS, but you deprive him of all powers that are incumbent on that office. You have the president, he has Minister of Defense, he has CDS, but he deals directly, with the service chiefs. Why is that? It was regime protection. Unfortunately, when the wrong thing continues to be doing, it becomes the right thing. It is this system that was inherited, by and large, to almost all civilian administration to varying degrees. You have a Minister of Defense who is almost powerless. You have a Chief of Defense Staff who is always powerless. You see the president dealing directly with the service chiefs, with the Minister of Defense becoming almost an onlooker. That's what we're having. So this, unless again this is changed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has expressed confidence in the leadership and professional qualities of General Musa, unless he changes that, with due respect, I have to be frank, Musa may not bring any other changes that his fellow ministers felt. Even though he has the capacity, he has the quality more than them, but unless this institutional problem is solved, a situation where the president will be talking to service chiefs without their minister or behind the minister's back, it automatically renders the minister powerless. A situation where the Minister of Defense does not have control over the budget of the services. He does not have control over what they buy. He does not have control over how they promote, how they retire. Definitely honest is a lame duck Minister of Defense, and is not likely to influence the outcome of any operations they are going to do. So what I am saying at this time is that the president has made the good call now by changing and bringing somebody whom everybody, all of us in the defense sector, all of our military officers, we have a very high expectation of General Musa Gwabin as Minister of Defense that he will do, probably because of what he did. But again, like I said, for him to do that, the president must go forward and empower him. I have written several articles, even right from the May when the president came, May, before he even formed his cabinet. I said he needed a Minister of Defense who has a security military background, and he must also empower him. So you need a quality person, but he must also be empowered. Currently, when I did a summary of how ministries of defense are run all over the world, Nigeria's own is completely different. Ministry of Defense in almost every democracy is probably the only ministry that receives specific mention either in the Constitution or in the Defense Act, with the powers of the Minister of Defense clearly spelled out. Check United States, check United Kingdom, check India, check South Africa, check Canada, all these democracies, you see this happening. If you check our all statute documents, you will not see where are the roles and functions of the Minister of Defense in Nigeria. And it has become a normal thing. With due respect, it didn't start with the regime. The late President Muhammad Buhari ran the same thing. You have a minister, but the minister is almost powerless. It has continued. I hope we'll have a change. For Christopher Musa Gwabin, while I wish him the best, he should know he's carrying the weight of all security people who said Nigeria needs somebody with a security background. If he fails, to be honest, it will be an indictment, not only on him, on all Nigerian military perspectives. So, then, like I said, the president has to do he has to empower Musa to do the job.
Absolutely.
Bring all the service chiefs under him, not by word, by action.
Of course.
That is what I mean.
You've made a very important point regarding the institutional changes that need to happen, and we appreciate you for highlighting that at this time. Now, with the body language that you're seeing from this administration, do you get a sense that that is what will be the case? And I'd also like you to address concurrently when it comes to the welfare of and equipment that is available to our troops. What agenda would you like to set for General Musa in addressing that aspect that seems to have been brought up time and time again, but does not seem to have been addressed?
Thank you very much. Let me start with the issue of the body language. Do I see the body language of this government wants to do the proper thing, which has not been done, which was not done even by the last government? As far as the management of the armed forces, it was not done. With due respect, I still go back to the last regime. There were 2 committees that were sent for the reform of the armed forces and the Ministry of Defense. Those reports are gathering dust. Nobody has done anything. Almost all the things we are discussing now, they are contained in the report of that. So with due respect, I had the privilege of serving in both committees. So as per body language, I can say, based on what is happening in the country and what is happening outside the country, I think the president has realized his mistake, and we must compliment him for at least accepting that he was wrong in his choices, and he has changed them. So I think these internal and external forces makes me to believe that the president is ready to do what is proper, because I think it must have realized to him and his cabinet that unless they improve security, the chances of even 2027 may not be there. Even something worse, we have been threatened by a country which said it will come and fix our country for us, which would be a shame if you look at Nigeria. Now, with regards to task, before General Musa, you spoke of equipment. You spoke of welfare. This is where he has his task cut out for him. General Musa, I think when I look at his career, he has probably served as theater commander. He has served as head of infantry. He was not a service chief, but he served as chief of defense staff. And he knew, not having served as as chief of defense staff, even though he was not actually a service chief, he knows the intricacies within these services. He knows the equipment holding, where it is going. And here is where I will challenge him. With due respect, every military has its tradition. The Nigerian military tradition, to my thinking, is not a good one. Is that, I think last week, you had Senator Ali Ndume in his exchange with Senate President saying that generals don't complain. With due respect, he got it right. That is the tradition in the Nigerian military. The service chiefs always teach our officers not to face the civilian and say, sir, if you want me to capture this town, I need this and this and this. And without this, I cannot do it. Our ministers are not taught like, our military officers are not taught like that. They are told to say that, sir, thank you very much. You have done everything. Whereas he knows he's hurting. He knows his troops are not up to number. He knows his equipment are not up to number. Here is what I will advise the new Minister of Defense. If he has done that while he was a military man, now he's no longer a military man. For all intents and purposes, he's a civilian Minister of Defense. So those kind of political talks or diplomatic talks with the president should no longer be there. He should sit in the Federal Executive Council or meet with the president and tell him, sir, the task you are giving us can be done, but it can only be done with this sort of equipment, with this sort of personnel. I think that's what he should do. He should first, there is this debate about add 10,000, add 15,000, add 5,000. I expect General Musa first to set up a committee that will come out. That is not how you plan armed forces. You plan armed forces by looking at the economy, by looking at the geopolitics, by looking at the kind of how many fronts you will fight. Then you will come up with a number. Then you tell President, this should be for our population, for our size, for our international engagement. Because even as we are fighting, Nigeria is still bending over backwards to send troops to outside countries for peacekeeping. All these things have to go. Then you come with a number. Now it's up to the president to look at that number. Can he afford it? Because, of course, economics come into it. You can't spend everything on military. You have to do hospitals. You have to do road. Then the number, if the president can afford it, fine. You come out with a plan, short term, medium term, until you meet those numbers. That is what he should be done. Not just for Senate to say add 10,000. With due respect, the number of troops we need now is not an issue of 10,000 or 100,000. It is far, far more than that. But I know it's not something that can be done. That is one task that General Musa should do. The second task, like I said, is telling truth to power. Truth to power. He must be able to face the president, not as military officers do. He is a minister now.
Group captain.
Sir, unless we have this, we will not have that. Thirdly, another task I'll give him, please. Hold on.
Okay.
Like I said, there are reform reports that have been sitting gathering the dots as Ministry of Defense. General Musa should look at these reports. Let it not become like the Oronsai report. Certainly, it has been there for over 2-3 years. Some things have changed. But by 80% of that report can still be done. And finally, he should also show the president, yes, we can never have enough money to put on defense. But the much that is being put, the little that is being put there, what are ways of cutting costs? Because with due respect, I must say it, there are a lot of, the money is not enough, but even what is given, there are a lot of wastages. There are a lot of misapplication of defense funds. General Musa is in position. He knows where all the skeletons are hidden. Having served in the military, having served as CDS. Probably Badr will not know that. Matawale will not know that. But General Musa knows it. He should tell the president.
Very good, Captain Shehu. We still remember the challenges under General Musa while he was
Group captain, please. Group captain.
Group captain.
Why you say this captain? You got
very, very good.
Group captain.
Group captain, Shehu. Some of these challenges are still present.
15 years from my service.
All right.
Yes.
I apologize for that. And his fears are still overwhelming odds. They're still noteworthy. All his fears regarding terrorism and banditry. But let's look at this. Just before we go, and briefly please, the institutional changes you are expecting him to make, who will put that forward to the president to expedite changes, to have more bite in this fight, a war against terrorism, banditry, or what have you?
I have to feel more the plate in front of General Musa. He is the one to do it. If you look at the cabinet, until this Musa enters now, there is not one single person that has an idea of how defense management, how defense procurement is done. Is General Musa. If there are lapses, he is the only one to tell the president. But the president has the pen that will sign and bring that into fruition. But the duty of General Musa is to tell the president. If he doesn't tell the president, he has failed in his duties. He should tell the president. So all those changes that he knows, like I said, it has pleased him. With due respect, another thing that makes me, to have high expectations of General Musa, even the last position he held, what most people don't know, that is the office of the Chief of Defense Staff. Just like the Minister of Defense, honest in our system, after borrowing the system from UK, from US, that has defined roles, he succeeded in that office despite the fact that he doesn't have any clear roles. So I expect that also will help him now to think out of the box. But even thinking out of the box will not satisfy his role as minister unless these institutional changes, this relationship between minister and service chiefs, the president has taken somebody that he trusts. If he trusts him, please hand over the military to him.
Fantastic.
And then General Musa should be able to tell truth to power and give him an honest and unbiased advice.
We'd like to thank you for your robust analysis and assessment of the situation, and also for your advice regarding this very important matter. Former Air Force spokesman, Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, retired. Thank you so much for joining us.